Emma never imagined that the quiet man sitting in her salon chair would become the prime suspect in a brutal murder. As the stylist who unknowingly gave a suspected killer a haircut, her story reveals the chilling truth about how evil can hide behind the most ordinary faces. Emma had been working as a hairstylist in the small town of Millfield for nearly a decade. Her salon was a cozy place, familiar and welcoming, where locals came not just for haircuts, but also for a moment of calm and conversation. Most days were uneventful, filled with chatter about the weather or weekend plans. But one chilly autumn morning, everything changed in a way Emma could never have imagined. That day, a man entered the salon who seemed different from her usual clients. He was in his late 30s, dressed neatly but plainly, with tired eyes that flickered with a strange nervousness. Emma didn't know his name, and he gave only the barest details when asked. There was something about his presence that made Emma feel uneasy, though she couldn't put her finger on why. Maybe it was the way he barely spoke, how his hands trembled just slightly, or the way he avoided looking directly at her. Emma welcomed him with a polite smile and began preparing for the haircut. The man sat silently as she worked, occasionally glancing around the room but never speaking unless asked. His hair was unkempt, and Emma could tell he hadn't cared for it in a while. She focused on her scissors, trying to distract herself from the odd sensation creeping up her spine. She had cut hair for hundreds of people, and while some left her feeling energized, this man left a chill in the air. During the haircut, Emma noticed a small scar on the man's hand, something jagged and old-looking. It wasn't the first time she had seen scars on clients, but this one seemed different. It suggested a past filled with hardship or violence. Still, she told herself not to jump to conclusions. Many people carried scars from accidents or hard lives, but she couldn't shake the feeling that this man was hiding something deeper. Later that day, Emma heard the news that shook the entire town. A young woman had been found brutally murdered in her own home, a crime so sudden and horrific that it sent ripples through the community. Police released a description of a suspect, a man matching the exact age and build of the client who had sat in Emma's chair just hours before. The similarities were striking, and a cold wave of fear swept over her. Questions raced through Emma's mind. Had she unknowingly helped a murderer escape? Could she have done something to stop it? She went over every detail she remembered. The way he had shifted uncomfortably in the chair, the nervous glances, the silence that seemed heavy with secrets. Each memory now felt like a clue she had missed. The police soon came knocking at her door, asking for details about the man. Emma described everything she could recall: his appearance, his mannerisms, the scar on his hand. She felt like an unwilling witness to a nightmare she couldn't wake from. The reality that a suspected killer had been so close, so ordinary, was terrifying. Emma's life, once predictable and peaceful, was now tangled with fear and uncertainty. The man who had entered her salon that day was no longer just a client. He was a link to a dark, violent crime, and Emma was caught in the middle. As the investigation grew, so did the whispers around town. Everyone wondered how well they really knew the people in their community, and Emma found herself questioning how evil could wear such a normal face. After the police visited Emma's salon, the quiet life she once knew quickly disappeared. Reporters arrived, cameras appeared on the streets, and neighbors whispered behind closed doors. Suddenly, Emma was at the center of a story far bigger than a simple haircut. The man she had cut hair for was no longer just a customer. He was the prime suspect in a murder investigation. The weight of that reality settled heavily on her shoulders. Police interviews became a regular part of Emma's routine. Detectives asked her to recall every detail about the man's appearance and behavior. She described the scar on his hand, the nervousness she had noticed, and even the faint smell of something unfamiliar when he walked in. Though these details seemed small at the time, they became crucial pieces in building the suspect's profile. Emma was surprised by how many small things she could remember once she focused her mind. Her anxiety grew with each meeting, but she felt a strange responsibility to help catch the man who might have been so close. Meanwhile, the community around her grew restless. The murdered woman had been well-liked, and her death left a hole in the neighborhood. People worried about their safety, locking doors earlier and avoiding walking alone at night. Rumors spread rapidly. Some said the suspect was dangerous and hiding nearby, while others claimed he had already fled town. Emma heard stories about the man's past that hadn't been publicly known before, stories of violence and trouble that no one had expected from someone who looked so ordinary. Despite the fear and confusion, Emma's daily work continued, though it felt different now. Each time a new client sat in her chair, she found herself watching carefully, wondering if they might be hiding a secret like the man from that day. It was a strange feeling, like her safe little salon was now a place full of silent mysteries. But the most haunting thought was that she had been completely unaware of the danger sitting right in front of her. As the investigation progressed, the police discovered the suspect's background was far more complex than it appeared. They found records of past arrests and violent incidents, details that had been carefully concealed from the public. It seemed the man had been living under a false identity, moving from place to place to avoid detection. Emma was shocked to learn that the calm, quiet person she had met was part of a hidden world of crime. The media frenzy grew, and Emma's story was told repeatedly, how she had unknowingly cut the hair of a suspected murderer. She struggled with the spotlight, wishing she could disappear. Every time she heard about the case on the news, she felt a mixture of fear and guilt. What if she had noticed something different? What if she had done something more? Through it all, the police continued to piece together the timeline of events. They confirmed the suspect had visited the salon shortly before the murder, making Emma's account a critical part of their case. The scar on his hand, the way he had avoided eye contact, and the nervous energy he displayed all became evidence that helped connect the dots. Emma found herself haunted by the idea that evil could be so ordinary, so close. She realized how easily someone could hide dark secrets behind a friendly smile and a polite manner. The man she had styled was no longer just a stranger. He was a chilling reminder of the dangers hidden in plain sight, and Emma was determined to do everything she could to help bring justice to the victim and peace to her town. As the investigation deepened, new and unexpected developments began to emerge, turning the case into something far more complicated than anyone had anticipated. The police uncovered evidence suggesting that the suspected murderer might not have acted alone. This revelation sent shockwaves through the community and added a new layer of mystery to the crime. Emma, once a bystander, suddenly found herself entwined in a tangled web of secrets and danger. The victim, it turned out, had connections that few people knew about. She was involved, willingly or unwillingly, in a network of people with shady dealings, people who were not afraid to use violence to protect their interests. Detectives began to suspect that the murder was not random, but linked to something bigger, something more dangerous. The man Emma had unknowingly styled might have been just one piece in a larger, darker puzzle. Emma's role took on new importance when police invited her to review surveillance footage from around the time of the murder. Watching the grainy images, she saw the suspect leaving the salon and heading toward another building, a place that had not been part of the original investigation. The footage showed him moving quickly and nervously, glancing over his shoulder as if he feared being followed. This raised new questions. Was he trying to hide from someone? Or was he attempting to create an alibi by being seen somewhere else? The idea that the man might have been running from danger instead of chasing it was unsettling. It challenged everything Emma thought she knew about him. She had assumed he was calm, even cold. But now it seemed he might have been caught in a dangerous game where he was not the mastermind, but a pawn. This shift in perspective gave Emma a strange mix of fear and curiosity. Detectives expanded their search, looking for others who might have been involved. They interviewed neighbors, friends, and anyone connected to the victim or the suspect. Clues began to surface about meetings, phone calls, and secret exchanges that hinted at a hidden world beneath the surface of the quiet town. Emma's haircut, once just a simple service, became a crucial moment in the timeline that police relied on to track the suspect's movements. The investigation revealed that the suspect had been leading a double life. To most people, he seemed ordinary, even unremarkable. But beneath that mask was a man caught up in dangerous situations he might not have fully controlled. The scars on his body, the nervous behavior Emma noticed, and the way he avoided conversation all made more sense in this new light. As Emma followed the news and police updates, she realized that the story was far from over. The murder was just the beginning of a much larger mystery involving betrayal, fear, and hidden alliances. Emma's unexpected connection to the case made her feel vulnerable, but also determined to see the truth come out, though the pieces of the puzzle were beginning to fit together. Many questions remained unanswered. Who else was involved? What was the real motive behind the murder? And how much danger was still lurking in the shadows? Emma knew that the calm surface of her small town had been shattered forever, and that the secrets she had uncovered would haunt her for a long time to come. As the investigation dragged on, it became clear that the suspect was far more cunning and calculated than anyone had first believed. New details emerged that painted a picture of a man skilled at deception and careful planning. Emma learned that the haircut she had given him was not a simple appointment, but part of a larger strategy to stay under the radar. The suspect had booked several haircuts over a period of weeks, not just with Emma, but also with other stylists in the area. Each time, he altered his appearance slightly, changing the length, style, or even the color of his hair. This tactic helped him avoid recognition by the public and law enforcement, allowing him to move freely without raising suspicion. Emma found this revelation chilling. The man she had thought was nervous and harmless was actually using everyday activities to conceal his true identity. It was a reminder of how easily someone could manipulate the smallest details of their life to hide from justice. The salon visits, once a routine part of the suspect's life, now seemed like pieces of a carefully constructed disguise. The pressure on Emma increased as the suspect's trial approached. The media kept her story in the spotlight, and she was called upon to testify about what she remembered. Although the experience was frightening, Emma understood the importance of her role. Her memories, every glance, every scar, every nervous twitch, became critical evidence in court. The scar on the suspect's hand, in particular, was highlighted by forensic experts who linked it to wounds found on the victim's body. During the trial, the defense tried to downplay Emma's testimony, suggesting that her memories could be unreliable or influenced by the media coverage. But prosecutors used her detailed account to build a timeline of the suspect's movements and actions on the day of the murder. They showed how the haircut linked him to the salon just hours before the crime, and how changes in his appearance made it harder for witnesses to identify him elsewhere. The courtroom was tense as witnesses testified and evidence was presented. Emma felt a mixture of fear and determination. The man she had met in her salon was no longer just a stranger. He was the accused murderer, and her observations helped hold him accountable. The trial revealed more than just the crime. It exposed the suspect's patterns of evasion and manipulation. As the case came to a close, Emma realized that the haircut she had given had become an unexpected key to solving the crime. The simple act of styling someone's hair, which she had always seen as a routine part of her job, had turned into something far more significant. Her testimony, combined with forensic science and surveillance footage, created a strong chain of evidence that left little doubt about the suspect's guilt. Though the verdict brought relief to the victim's family and the community, Emma knew that the experience had changed her forever. She had glimpsed how ordinary moments could hide dangerous secrets, and she vowed to be more vigilant in the future. The man who sat in her chair had seemed ordinary, but he carried darkness beneath the surface, a darkness Emma would never forget. The trial concluded with a verdict that brought a mixture of relief and lingering unease. The suspect was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Justice had been served for the victim, but the impact of the case rippled far beyond the courtroom. For Emma, the stylist who had unknowingly crossed paths with a murderer, life would never be quite the same. In the weeks following the trial, Emma found herself reflecting deeply on the experience. The realization that danger had sat quietly in her salon chair shook her to the core. She had once believed that evil was something distant, something that happened in movies or faraway places. Now she understood how close it could be, hidden in plain sight behind a calm face and polite manners. Emma's story gained attention beyond her small town. She was invited to speak at events and on local news programs about the importance of paying attention to subtle signs and trusting instincts. Her message was simple but powerful. Sometimes the smallest details, a nervous glance, a hidden scar, a strange hesitation, can reveal much more than words. She urged others to be observant and cautious, especially in everyday situations that might seem ordinary. The experience also inspired Emma to connect with others who had unknowingly encountered dangerous individuals. She joined support groups where people shared their stories of shock, fear, and survival. Through these connections, Emma found comfort and strength, knowing she was not alone. She discovered a new purpose in helping others become more aware and prepared. Yet, despite the support and the public recognition, Emma's private moments were often filled with doubt and what-if questions. What if she had noticed the signs earlier? What if she had alerted someone or refused to give the haircut? These thoughts haunted her, even though she knew she had done nothing wrong. The thin line between innocence and guilt had become painfully clear, and Emma struggled with the weight of having unknowingly been part of a deadly crime's chain of events. Her salon reopened fully after the trial, but Emma could not ignore how the atmosphere had changed. Some clients expressed sympathy, others were wary. Emma herself was more cautious, always watching carefully, trying to see beyond the surface. The simple act of giving a haircut had become a moment filled with tension and awareness. She no longer took people at face value. The town of Millfield, too, changed after the murder and trial. The sense of safety that once defined the community was replaced by a cautious vigilance. People talked more openly about the importance of watching out for one another and recognizing that danger could come from unexpected places. Emma's experience became a reminder to the whole town of the hidden risks that might be closer than anyone realized. Though the nightmare had ended, Emma knew its lessons would stay with her forever. The man who had sat in her chair was locked away, but the memory of that day and the chilling realization that evil can wear the mask of normalcy remained. Emma chose to channel that fear into purpose, becoming an advocate for awareness and safety in her community. Her story serves as a haunting warning. Sometimes the most ordinary moments can hide the darkest truths, and paying attention can mean the difference between safety and tragedy. Emma's journey from a simple stylist to a key witness in a murder case shows how even the smallest actions can have profound consequences. The shadows may be close, but with vigilance and courage, they can be faced and overcome.